Welcome to my dad's podcast. It is called Up and Adam. Oh, and my mom's on it too.
Welcome back in episode number 3, Up and Adam podcast. I am Adam. I've got my lovely and talented co-host with me as always. Stephanie's here. Stephanie, say hello.
Hello.
That's all she's gonna say. So we get a hello from Stephanie. Don't worry, she'll talk more hopefully as the show goes on. Episode 3, and we're excited to bring this one to you. We've got some good stuff planned today, but before we get to all that stuff, I think we need to stop and say some thank yous.
Sounds good.
Okay, so again, the thank yous. So first off, a lot of you have actually listened to this. We're kind of surprised by that, right?
Yes, for sure.
We're surprised, but some of you have listened, and some of you actually have said you liked it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not even sure I like it. I'm not even sure you like it, right?
Yeah, but are you trying to say you don't like it because I'm your partner?
Here we go with this again. Okay, so either way, some of you have listened and you've been very kind and you've actually liked it. You've said that it made you laugh. You've said that you've enjoyed it. And so we're blown away by that. So we want to stop and thank everybody who listened so far, who reached out, sent a note or a text message or something. It's odd when you talk and all of a sudden people like what you say and they think it's funny. And so that's awesome. So any of you who have done that so far, we want to, I want to thank you. Stephanie, do you also want to thank them?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so there's a good thank you. We also want to thank a few people who've helped us set this show up. So I forgot to mention this probably in previous episodes. All the music you hear is made by a good friend of mine. He goes by the stage name of Lyrics in Loops. Stage is kind of loose because I don't think he performs on stages just yet, but he will one day, I'm sure. But you can find all his music on Instagram. So if you like any of the music that you see there, or maybe you're an aspiring musician yourself and you're hoping somebody would just give you a nice beat that you can use, that's your guy. So check out Lyrics and Loops. And then a special thank you to the folks who made the graphic that you see when you click on the show, the yellow sunburst with the wonderful gentleman there with his arms spread, which may or may not be me. That was made by some folks called Stylish Words. They're also on Instagram. They make bracelets. They make a lot of cool stuff. So you should check them out as well. And that brings us into episode 3. So thanks to all those people. And good topics today, Steph. Did you see the show rundown?
Yes, I did.
She did see the show rundown. And so before we get into any of that, we have to update some folks on a few things from previous episodes. And so our weekly topic, are you going to change anything with your heist group, or do you feel comfortable with where you are on your heist group?
The people in my heist group are going to stay the same. I just didn't clarify last week. Like, it wouldn't be like a driver or a helicopter driver. I would need both. The driver would take me from the heist to the helicopter, and then Justin would fly the helicopter away.
Naturally. Okay, so the crew will stay the same.
Correct.
So no changes to the crew this week. Some of the infrastructure, though, may change.
Correct.
Okay. You sure about that?
I think so.
Okay, so no updates to the heist crew. So congrats to those of you who have now made it for a whole week on the heist crew. Your success I cannot guarantee, but your inclusion should be something that makes you extremely proud. And then we did not have an update on this last week because you said you were efforting it. I do know there's an update available now. Many people out there have been waiting around to understand how the teacher conversation went. And so you were able to have that conference this week. Is that right?
I did on Tuesday.
Okay. And let's update the people on what you learned, how that conference went. Did we set the teacher straight? Did the teacher set us straight? Give us the lowdown.
So the teacher, she definitely was ready for me. But I learned that her son is a pain in the rear end in the classroom. But that she did not tell me any of that until after the report card and I asked. So although she is correct as to how he is behaving, I discussed with her that, like, please let me know. Like, I'm literally standing outside the door every time the bell rings. Like, super easy to just let me know what's happening.
Okay. So. How did she receive this feedback? Because on the previous show, you may or may not have made it seem as though you were going to go in there pretty sternly because you were disappointed that you had not been updated. So how would you characterize your tone during this conversation? Pleasant?
I was pleasant.
Pleasant,
yes.
Okay. Were you stern at all?
I think I was stern in the part where I was like, please let me know what's happening. Like, even if you have to tell me every day.
Okay. And how was her response to your sternness?
She said she was going to let me know, but she hasn't said anything to me since Tuesday. So I don't know if he's just behaving or not. So I plan to ask her next week.
Okay. Is this something you're going to check in on with her like every day, you think? Or how do you plan to use this going forward now?
Probably just like twice a week. One of the things I learned was when I said to her, well, how come he's coming home on green every day? She was like, oh, I don't change his clip for talking or for being lazy or bothering other people. I have these beans on they have beans on their table, and they start off their day with 5 beans. And if they're doing something like talking, I take their bean away. And I was like, oh, well, I had never heard about the beans. I was like, I've been asking him what color he's on every day, not how many beans do you have every day. So now I am also asking Aiden how many beans you have at the end of the day. But he tells me he has all of his beans every day. So I don't know.
Okay. So we got the beans, and so you're going to do a daily bean check-in with Aiden at least, and the teacher?
The teacher I'll check in like twice a week in the afternoon.
Twice a week.
Is there anything I need to know? Has anything happened today?
Okay. Now, I think you've mentioned on here before, you are a former teacher. As a former teacher, how do you think the teacher will react to a parent checking in that fervently? Is that something that teachers frown upon? Are you concerned she might be a little bit... maybe, I don't know, annoyed, for lack of better words? Or how do you think that the consistent check-ins will go over with the teacher?
I think she'd be okay with it because, if anything, it just shows that I'm trying to help her in the classroom so that he's doing what he needs to do. I don't think it's being anything on her. It's more that I'm trying to follow through at home. Okay.
As a former teacher, how would you have reacted to a parent who was... pretty persistent around the check-ins?
Well, I was always pretty good with letting parents know, so I don't know, but...
Oh, wow.
So if any of my former parents are listening, you can agree with that or not. But I think that I would have been okay with it, and I would have understood that it was more that they want to make sure that their child's doing what they need to do, not so much checking on the teacher. And let me just clarify, I sound funny because I have a cold.
I was going to actually mention that there's been a cold going through. So if the consistent throat clearing that you hear, just disregard that. Steph's getting over a little cold. The entire house has had a bit of a bug running through it. Let's touch on this quickly. So you referenced that you learned that all of the things the teacher thought that our child was doing, he was indeed doing. Can you give us an update on what those things are? What are those behavioral things that he's losing beans for, I guess?
Well, he talks a lot, and more like he's even trying to like help her. Like she'll be trying to tell the class, like, we can't go outside until everyone's quiet. And Aiden will be like, yeah, guys, we have to be quiet so we can go outside, instead of just being quiet. Okay. He's also lazy. So he needs to show his work for math. And because he already knows the answers, he doesn't want to show his work because in his head he can figure out the numbers. But as part of Common Core math, you have to show your work. And so he wouldn't show his work, and then she'd make him. So he'd only do one math problem showing the work and bring it back to her. And she'd say, no, you have to do them all. And he would argue with her, no, I don't have to. I already know the answers. And then do you remember what the other thing was?
I don't. That's why I asked you.
Oh, writing.
There we are.
Like, he only wants to write like one sentence, and he's supposed to be writing a story. And so she's like, write more. And he's like, I don't want to. Okay. So a lot of it has to do with his own laziness, and more that he thinks he's smart or smarter than the teacher.
Okay. Did any of this news surprise you?
No.
Okay.
Because he's lazy at home too.
Okay.
So I get it, but I don't know that I would have, if I know that the student can do the math, I don't know that I would have made their grade go down on the report card because they're not showing work.
Oh. Did you let the teacher know that you had those feelings as a former teacher?
No. Because
so we didn't teach that on the conference. Okay. People are probably going to ask this question, so I'll ask it now. So you described some traits that your son exhibits there. Some people are going to wonder where he might get those traits from. If you had to place, the percentages of where he learned or where some of these things come from in his life, where would you place that from a parental standpoint?
Well, I don't know, because we talk about we don't know where he came from. Like, he doesn't. I don't think either of us are lazy, but you say that I'm lazy.
I have not said that. That's not on tape anywhere.
That is what you were thinking.
That is not on tape anywhere. I can't be in trouble for what you allege I think. That's not fair.
We're going to say 50-50.
50-50 what?
He's 50% of you and 50%.
Well, that's mathematically how that works.
I mean,
yes. No.
You said give a percentage of who he takes after.
Okay, well, let's break down the issues. Talkativeness. And so where do you think...
Oh, that's me.
Okay, so that's you on the talkativeness. It sounds like a little bit of bossiness was in there too, right? Where's that?
Oh, I don't know. What do you think?
We're certainly both rule followers, I think. I'd like to think I'm a rule follower. I think you are as well. But the need to get up and chide his fellow classmates, I don't think that's me.
I didn't really think that was me either, though.
Really? Well, I mean, and I say that in the sense that you are a former teacher, as we've talked through. Wouldn't that naturally be like a teacher thing to do, is to sort of get up in front of a class and tell them all what to do?
I guess that's true.
Okay. Laziness was the other one.
I don't think either of us are lazy. I know you think I'm lazy.
Again, I don't know where I'm in trouble for what you think I think. That's not fair. So those of you who are scoring at home, I don't know. Don't blame that one on me just yet. I don't know. Well, it's lazy in the sense that he's too smart. Is that what we're getting at? Not that he's just like laying on the floor and won't get up. Right. It's more so that he's just like, hey, I know this already. Right. In my head, I'm like, well, maybe he needs to be challenged more. Okay. Which of us do you think would exhibit more of that? I already know this, so I'm not going to spend my time on it.
Oh, that's you.
That's me. Okay. And why is that again?
Because that's you to a T. Because you are very smart. And so sometimes you think you're smarter than
I'm smart.
The other person.
I think. Okay. Well, thank you for the character assessment. I appreciate that as well. And and writing, I guess he doesn't write enough. Is that kind of the same thing you think?
Well, because he's a lefty, he really struggles with writing and like the physical part of writing. And it's not that he doesn't have great ideas in his head or doesn't know what he wants to write, but I think that the time it takes him to write and to write neatly is a struggle for him.
I'm sorry, I'm not a...
And neither of us are lefties.
That's also true. I'm not a scientist or a researcher of sorts. Is there, statistically speaking, is it harder for you to write if you're left-handed? Is there problems with that?
No, but I honestly think he may not be a true lefty, and that's why he struggles with it. But that's the hand that he dominates with. But I think that he doesn't have that fine motor control yet.
So he is or isn't lefty?
That's a good question.
Okay. How should we figure that out? Like, isn't there something we should do to determine whether or not he should be using that left hand or that right hand?
I've tried a few different things, and I think he could actually use either, but he's more comfortable with his left hand. It's just that he hasn't learned, it doesn't have enough fine motor control yet in that hand to... Okay. I don't know how many left-handed people we have listening to the show. Aunt Kristen.
Aunt Kristen, left-handed. She's actually not our aunt, but that's fine. So Aunt Kristen listens, and I don't know if anybody else is. Maybe you all could let us know if you have life struggles because you're left-handed, because apparently that's causing some of Aiden's problems. I'd like to know this now so that we could just rectify it and make him right-handed, because apparently...
I'm not going to force him to be right-handed. That's mean.
That's me. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be mean on that one.
Some parents really do that.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Is that okay? Well, I'm not aware, so I certainly don't want to cast any sort of a joke at the left-handed crew. That I'm just curious. Stephanie's in leading me to believe that if you're left-handed, you have struggles early in your academic career.
I don't know that everybody does. I just think he does.
Just he does. Okay. Well, maybe I'm hoping that there's somebody else out there that can either help us understand that yes, I also struggled with left-handedness and I'm okay now, or they can. Maybe there's a support group we can get him in. I don't know how that works. Okay. So
I think he just has to practice writing more.
You just have to. Okay. And so, all right. So overall good conversation. The teacher was taught loosely.
Yeah, but I don't know that she actually learned anything.
Are we doing another conversation then?
We'll see. How about next week? We'll tell if she actually let me know how he was behaving.
Okay. All right. So keep checking back in for the Teach the Teacher materials. So again, we got a lot of good feedback on the show, and I've been getting a lot of specific feedback on the show, Stephanie. A lot of people have reached out to me. My dear grandmother, hello, Graham, if you're listening. It was one. Some folks that I know have all independently given me the same feedback. And admittedly surprised by it personally, but I certainly want to make sure that I'm being fair to the audience and to you as well, Stephanie. So, do you think I should share with everybody what the feedback that I got was?
I think you should.
Okay, I will. So it seems as though there are some people out there that think that perhaps I'm a little mean, particularly as it relates to conversating with you.
So when Adam came home and told me this, I could not stop laughing. I still can't.
And I'm the mean one, apparently. Yeah, and so certainly, look, I certainly hope that I've not come across mean. I think some of the ways that our dynamic works here as a couple, and as a show, they're two different things, right? I think as humans and as people on a show. And in real life, we have a lot of banter. When the microphone comes on, Stephanie talks less. And so you're getting a little bit of a different variety of what we normally talk about.
Are you saying I'm mean too? Back? In real life?
I mean, I wasn't going there, but for some reason you went there.
I'm just checking.
You want to talk about it?
No.
Okay. And so the other thing is I often will quickly respond back to something, and sometimes, you don't respond back to that response. And so the last response that one might hear was my response. And if my response is a little bit more, sarcastic in nature, which I tend to be, I could see where that comes across mean. So a point taken for those out there, feedback received. And what you're going to get now is a kindler, gentler Up and Adam show with a kindler, gentler Adam. I think that's what the what the audience needs.
Well, just so everyone knows, Adam and I have been together for 19 years. He's been sarcastic for all 19 of those years. And he's not being mean, I promise. And it's just something I'm used to.
Wow. Well, that was one of the most...
I love you, though.
Apologies I've ever heard in my life. So
Wait, I didn't have to apologize.
Of course not. So... look, that leads me to, I think obviously we're going to have to come up with a new segment on the show each week. And so, Steph, welcome. This is going to be our new segment. We'll get one of these in a week here. So we'll start it now.
My dad says something nice about my mom.
Stephanie, I want to
sit down for this.
Yeah, sit down for this. I want to let you know you look very nice today. You have a new sweater on. I like that sweater very much. I think it looks very good on you.
Oh, thank you very much. I like this.
That was my dad saying something nice about my mom. My life will never be the same.
I understand, Addison. Okay, so we got that out of the way. Well, the other thing is some of this I think came through. I've tried to introduce you into the show and get people to know you. And some people have said that you're finding your way and you're talking more, which is one of the main requirements of a podcast, just so we're clear. But I'm going to give you the opportunity. I'm going to let you drive the show now. I'm going to let you ask questions. I'm going to let you make the jokes. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to get your retribution for all of the the mean things that I might do around here. So I'm going to just turn this thing over to you. You're in charge. This is the Up and Stephanie show, and I'm just along for the ride.
Well, we all know I'm not as funny as Adam here, but we are going to spend a few minutes getting to know Adam since we got to know Stephanie last week. Yes, you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I'm not sure. You've got a card of notes in your hand. I haven't seen all of them yet, so I'll do the best that I can.
Yeah, I actually prepared this week.
Wow.
All right. Are you ready for your first one?
Yeah, hit me.
What is your favorite book?
My favorite book. I read a lot of books. As a child, I read a ton. I didn't go out a lot. I didn't have a lot of neighborhood friends for a while, so I read a lot as a kid. My favorite all-time book. I can only pick one book, huh?
Yes.
Here's the thing. I like a lot of different genres of books. So
would you like to just tell me your favorite genre?
I read a lot more legal type thrillers. John Grisham. I think I have a majority of his books. I like sports books. And if there's a good sports book out there, I will read that. I like specific authors. One of the most interesting books I've ever read. It's not a fun book, and by any stretch, but I read sort of the inside story on the Columbine disaster situation, and that was really illuminating. I enjoyed that book a lot. I also like autobiographies a little bit, so I didn't really answer that question. I haven't read as much. A book I am reading a little bit in my spare time. It's called Bad Blood. It's about Elizabeth Holmes. Are you familiar with her?
No. Actually, didn't know you were reading a book.
There we go. She was a young. There's a movie about her now. There's a podcast series about her now. She started a startup company called Theranos. And it was supposed to be she had this magical way to detect your blood, and it turned out it was a big shell game, and she's a bit of a crazy person. It's now a series on HBO. There's a podcast as well. So I started reading the book before I knew any of this stuff was coming out, and it's quite fascinating. So
interesting.
Check it out on HBO. It's quite interesting.
All right, next up, what's your favorite song of all time? Please don't say R. Kelly.
Song. So, as you know, Stephanie, I enjoy music very much.
Yes, you do.
I probably have 1,800 plus songs.
And if you don't know this about him, he knows every word to every song ever.
I probably have 1,800 plus songs in my iCloud situation. Favorite is tough. Again, depends what kind of mood I'm in. Am I working out? Am I just relaxing?
Let's say to work out.
So you need a song that's going to get you a little fired up. Probably the song right now that if I need to get one more set of weight, training in or something, I'll go with "Lucky You" by Eminem. That's a current song. You have no idea what it is. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Long term, I don't know. I always liked "When I'm Gone" by Wiz Khalifa. The beginning is really good.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll go with those two.
Okay. Those were good.
Thank you.
All right. Your favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie of all time? I'll go Ocean's 11.
Oh.
I like that one.
I thought you were going to pick the one with Will Smith and...
Yeah, there we go.
What is it called? There's two of them.
I can't answer this question because I don't want to be perceived as mean. I understand that maybe you don't know. I think you're thinking of Bad Boys.
Yes.
Bad Boys 1. I actually like Bad Boys 2 better than Bad Boys 1. That's a great movie though. That's a really good one. But that's one that so Ocean's 11 is a little more tame. And so one of the annoying things about like Bad Boys is when you watch it on TV, like most of the parts that like might be funny are modified for TV versions. So unless you're watching it like on an HBO or on Netflix or something, you don't really get the real version. And so, like, the majority of the time I see that movie, it's not the real version with some of the funnier lines in it. So, Ocean's 11 is a little bit more agnostic.
And Bad Boys, you can't really have a lot of it on when the kids are in the room.
Also fair. Yeah, there's some blood, some guts. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. What is the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to you?
Most embarrassing thing that ever happened. Man.
Oh, I know one.
Okay.
Can I tell it?
You're about to, it sounds like.
I laugh every time I think of it.
Okay, go ahead. I don't know what it is, but I'm here for it.
I didn't even get to see it, but the way you describe it, we were living in Boynton Beach in our townhouse, and you were running. Uh-huh. There was a car. Yeah. He was running by the gate to go into the neighborhood. And there was a car that was going through the gate at the same time.
Yeah.
Adam is very competitive, so he decided he was going to race the car without the car actually knowing that he was racing it. And he went full steam running, and he ended up tripping. Did you trip?
I did trip.
He tripped and fell. I can't even tell the story.
Yeah.
He tripped and fell right in front of this guy in his car, or next to the guy in the car, I should say. And he came home walking, limping, blood everywhere. And I was like, what happened to you? And you said that you tried to race a car. Didn't the car not even stop for you?
I did not know.
Yeah.
I did not know. Yeah. That's
Is that embarrassing?
Yeah, it was a good one. Yeah, I mean, into my defense, it was the end of the run. So this was on my way back. So I'd probably already done about 2.5, 3 miles or something. And so for those of you who are runners out there, Stephanie, are you a runner?
No.
There we are. And so, I needed something to just get me over that last hurdle home. No
got
pun
you
intended.
over.
And so when the car comes in, they have that gate. So the gate's obviously slow. I was obviously going on a sidewalk, so we were not that close to each other as Stephanie portrayed it. But as I was coming in, I had a head start, and I knew the car would then be getting through the gate and running and getting to the neighborhood. So I said, okay, he's gonna have to stall for a second to get through the gate. I'm just gonna go all out here. We're going all out. And the infrastructure in the greater Verona Lakes area apparently not as strong, and the sidewalk was uneven. And so I'm booking it, man. We're top speed. We're 440 speed, and this guy's coming in the gate now. So I'm getting right up there to high octane, and that uneven sidewalk just got out and tripped me.
Yeah, you were pretty scraped up from that.
Well, that actually wasn't the one I was thinking of.
You hurt yourself another time?
I didn't
in
hurt,
an embarrassing way?
I did not hurt. It is kind of very similar. I did not hurt myself. So when I was a Ute, I was an altar boy. And so Catholic school, Catholic church, of course. And for those of you who might be unfamiliar, you have to wear a robe with when you're an altar boy. So I had the robe on, and what part of what you have to do is you kind of follow the priest around at times. He goes to get something, you follow with him. And so I was at the top of the altar with the priest, and he was standing next to me, and you wait for people to come and present. I think it was the gifts, the sacraments at that point. And there was it was like 5-6 steps on top of the altar. So I'm standing next to the priest on top of the altar, and we're waiting for the people to come hand us the stuff. And so when they get closer to you, you start walking down the steps to meet them sort of at the base of the altar. And unbeknownst to me, the priest had stepped on my robe. And so I did not know this. And so I went to, follow him down, and he stepped on my robe, and I fell and rolled down the stairs of the altar.
In the middle of church.
In the middle of church, yes.
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
So that's an embarrassing one from your youth and from adulthood.
Yes, those are two, yeah. So I dusted myself back off, and, just kept on moving on.
Yeah, I would have liked to see both of those.
I'm glad I could help.
All right. Since he just said that he's not mean to me.
See, here's the thing. I haven't done anything mean.
Not today.
What have I done that would be considered mean? See,
Nothing.
Here's what I think this is. I think that it's just, people are looking for things and oh, that was mean, versus just letting the conversation be the conversation.
Well, we'll see what they say this week.
I'm a gentle soul. Go ahead.
All right. What are 3 things that your wife does that drive you crazy?
See, here's a setup right here. This is a setup because now I have... you drive me crazy because you always smell so wonderful.
Oh, no. I want real ones, because I'm going to give you my real ones after.
Okay. They're all really the same thing. So here's one thing. I keep a pretty tight schedule in my life. I'm pretty routine. I'm pretty regimented. I keep a pretty tight schedule. And so in the morning, I'm getting ready for work. You're getting the kids off and ready for school. And so often, we'll be in the kitchen around the same time. Now, again, I've got a timing. I'm trying to get to the house because I usually have an hour drive to work. Thanks a lot, 580. And so, I'll be getting my snacks around, maybe making a protein shake, getting a vitamin out of the cabinet. And you have the innate ability to always go stand exactly where I need to go stand next.
That is right.
And so if I need to go to the cabinet to get my protein, Stephanie will be standing right in front of the cabinet, stretching.
That's not what I'm doing.
Or doing something, right? And so I'm trying not to be rude, so I'll kind of stand there and wait for you to move, but you never quite get the hint that I'm standing there waiting for you to move. And so then you'll turn around and go, "Oh, am I in your way?" And I'll go, "No, that's fine. You're there your way." And then you'll move to the drawer. And so I'll get my protein, I'll put it in my scooper, and then I'll go get the top. And guess where you're standing? Right where the top's at. So you have an innate ability to be exactly where it is that I need to be in the mornings.
I just love you so much. I want to be everywhere where you are.
So now I'm going to be the mean one again, right? The second thing, and this doesn't bother me as much, but it kind of does. Same thing in the morning. You and I each have our own sinks, right? I have my sink, you have your sink. And I am awake before you. And so I'm exercising in the garage. I'm doing something. And every morning, whenever I come into the bathroom, whether you're in there or not, there's this drawer you have. It's on the right-hand side of you. and it's always open. Like,
yeah, I don't know why.
Full open. It's not like cracked open. It's like all the way out open. And it's not,
I swear it opens by itself.
it's not necessarily in my way. It's just like, why is that drawer open? It's just an odd thing. I don't know what's in that drawer, by the way. I don't know what you get out of that every morning.
Brush and deodorant.
Okay, well, it just never closed, and so every day I just kind of scoot by and I close the door.
Yes, I'll work on that one because that one's annoying to me too.
I don't know. I mean, it's not really in my way. It's just like, why is that always open? I don't quite get it.
All right, one more thing.
This
is your chance to get it all out.
And what was the question again? Let me make sure I get the exact wording. 3 things that
your wife does that drive you crazy.
Drive me crazy. 3 things my wife does that drives me crazy. All right, so the morning thing is a big one. The drawer thing, it doesn't drive me as crazy. It's just a weird thing that I don't quite understand about you per se. Well, there's that new one with the table and all your stuff being on the table at all times. That's a new one though. It doesn't drive me as crazy. Well, it is actually kind of a little bit crazy. And all the papers too. The papers get me. I don't understand the papers.
What happens when you work from home?
That's right. I don't understand all that one. The other thing you do that drives me crazy. Let me think on that one. Maybe I'll get back to that one at the end of the show.
Is it that you don't like that people think I actually know what I'm talking about with fitness? And
I just find it funny. I just find this one funny. I mean, it doesn't drive me crazy as much.
Maybe you should explain.
I will explain. So, you are the. I don't know. I don't want to call you something. I don't want to be mean. I don't know how to articulate your role in this. So how would you describe what you do every day? Because I don't want to describe it and be incorrect.
I run a group here in town called Family Fit. I teach a boot camp 3 days a week. I have another instructor that teaches for Family Fit Zumba 2 days a week. But I oversee the whole thing. And
so, again, I don't want to be mean, just so I can clarify. Would you consider yourself to be a trainer?
Yes.
Okay, so you are the head trainer?
Yes, I'm a certified group instructor.
Certified group instructor. Okay, instructor. Perfect. This is perfect. And so, Stephanie's been somebody who's exercised for most of our time together. Previous, though, Stephanie was a big gym person. She'd go to the gym, elliptical machine kind of stuff. She got into taking some classes for a while when we were back in Florida at the LA Fitness. You were taking some classes there, but you were typically go in, hit the elliptical machine for a little bit. You weren't doing a Stairmaster. That wasn't you.
Well, once I had Addison, I didn't go to the gym anymore.
Yeah.
I went to Mommy Fitness.
Right. So
or not Mommy Fitness, Baby Boot Camp.
It was exercising with the child, running with the stroller, that kind of thing. So that kind of got you into some of those things, right? But so I had stopped going to gyms probably like 2010. I was doing the home workout stuff on videos. And then I started going to a local boot camp in Delray called Beast Fitness. Shout out to Rod and Kevin. And so I started learning more about exercise, different moves, different things. I'd always done the video piece. And so for a while there, we used to exercise together.
Correct.
And when we did that, Stephanie, who was in charge of like putting the exercises together, the workouts, the form, all that stuff?
Well, wait, I will totally admit that you've taught me everything I know.
Okay. Along
with Rod and Kevin and my friend Jen.
Sure. Okay. And so it's just funny to me. Every now and again, I will go with Stephanie to her class where she's the head trainer.
On Saturdays, I drag him.
And so she is, she's got a group of people together, and she's there like explaining the exercises and like talking about all the form and stuff. Now, mind you, when Steph and I work out together, here's what I'll do. I'll put the workout on the board. So we got a little garage set up. I've got a board in there. And so I'll write down the exercises. I'll put 10 jumping jacks. I'll put...
Oh, they are not that easy.
Okay, fine. Yeah, sometimes they are. 10 jumping jacks, 10 V-ups, 10 burpees, 10, push-up jacks, then 10 burpee box jumps, and then 5 man makers, right? Half of you don't know what any of that means. And so she'll look at the list and she'll be like... I don't do man makers. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't do man makers? I just don't do those. Or she won't even say anything. We'll be working out and like, it'll be like, all right, Steph, time for the man makers. And I'll look over and she's like doing like knee touches. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, that's how I do my man makers. I'm like, well, that's not how you do your man makers. You're just doing a whole new exercise. And so she always throws a fit, whatever exercise move I put in there. Now let me be nice for a second. Hold on.
Wait. I complain. I totally admit.
Hold on.
My dad says something nice about my mom. You should sit down for this.
I will give Stephanie credit. The workouts are often hard. They're challenging, and she always does the workout. She's always willing to. There's probably a lot of people who wouldn't even bother. There's probably a lot of men who wouldn't want to do these workouts. But Stephanie's always willing to do the workouts, even though they're tough. And so I do want to give her credit for that.
That was my dad saying something nice about my mom. My life will never be the same.
However, it's not always the fact that you actually complete the workout as is. So I just find it ironic when we get to the things. You're like, okay, now ladies, you want to make sure on the squat that you've got, knees over ankles. Make sure, and you're like this perfect form lady. And I'm like, who's this lady? Because you're the one in the garage who's like screaming at me because you don't want to do a burpee box jump. So that's all.
I'm not screaming at you, first of all, but I do complain.
Yes.
And that's because you're the only person I can complain to. I can't complain about my own workout that I make for these ladies.
Oh, the other thing that's just ironic about all that, I don't know how much of this you want to give up because you've got this lucrative business that's going on here, but you give all this fitness advice and then you come home and rip open a tin of s'mores Girl Scout cookies like every day. It's just ironic to me. That's all.
I'm talking to them about fitness, not eating.
Don't you do eating challenges?
I do, and I eat right during those.
Do you?
I do.
Okay. Those are my 3. Then what are your... we're taking a lot of time here. What are your 3?
Okay. My 3 is I'll have cleaned the whole house all day. You come home from work and you're starving and you put your hand in the Cheez-It box and just take them out with your hand and start eating them and leave crumbs all over the floor.
All over the floor? Seems a little excessive.
In the kitchen. That drives me crazy.
All right. I don't buy that one, but okay.
Second one is... You blow your nose a lot. You have a lot of allergies, and the tissues are never in the trash can. They're all around the trash can in our bedroom.
Well, that's in our bedroom. You're talking specifically.
Yeah.
You made it seem like I just walk around like depositing tissues everywhere.
In our bedroom.
So to be fair, at night, if I'll blow my nose, like the trash can is nowhere near our bed. So what I'm doing is I'm lobbing it towards the trash can at night to try to get it in the trash can.
Yeah, but in the morning you don't pick them up.
Well, okay, I can if you want me to, but here's why I don't.
Because it'll wake me up.
Because I get up at 5 a.m. You stroll out of bed at like 6:30, right?
6:15.
6:30. So I'll be happy to get up at 5 and get all those things in there. But if I make a little noise, are we good with that?
All right, I'll give you that one.
Huh.
All right, and the last one. This guy goes through more protein shaker bottles than I've ever seen in my life. He drinks them, and then he just leaves them in the sink. And it drives me crazy because I have to open them up, clean them, put them in the dishwasher, and that little shaker ball always goes down like into like the drain part of the sink, and I have to put my hands in there and pick it up and put it in the dishwasher. Grosses me out. How many shaker bottles do you go through a day? 4?
2.
I think more than 2.
2. I'm not sure what I was just accused of there, though. I'd happy to respond nicely. I'd be happy to respond. I just don't know what I've been accused of there. Using shaker bottles?
Either using them or not putting them in the dishwasher.
Not putting them in the dishwasher. Okay. So the dishwasher. Oh, I do use them. Yes. I mean, by the way, I'd love to take a picture of we're sitting here now. I've got a red cup of Airborne, and you've got a blue shaker bottle, by the way.
I do, but I put my own in the dishwasher.
So it's the dishwasher piece.
Yes.
Okay. So it's got to be in the dishwasher.
Because I like my sink to have nothing in it.
What about your? Okay, do you now? What about the what do you call that white thing that's next to the sink where some of the clean dishes go?
I don't. Those are clean though. They're not in my sink. They're in the drain.
That's called the drain. You call that the drain, right? If you just had to give a percentage of people who are on this podcast right now who are most likely to actually empty that thing and put all that stuff away, what percentage would you attach to me, and what percentage would you attach to you?
90% you, 10% me, because I don't put those away because I use that stuff every day. So then I just got to get it back out.
Okay. All right. But from a cleanliness standpoint, you don't like things being cluttered in your sink, but you can just have them all piling up next to the sink. And
yeah, because they're dirty things in my sink.
They're dirty.
Not
well,
clean.
Not forever. They go into the dishwasher, and it's the cycle of life.
Right. But I just don't like, that means I have stuff to do if they're in there.
Okay. Again, I want to make sure I'm being very kind here, and you do a nice job with the dishware. My humblest abject apologies for not getting those shaker bottles out there in time, and I've learned a valuable lesson. I will make sure that I correct that. Anything else this was a getting to know you piece. This is just the opening, by the way. It went pretty long.
We can be done.
Is there anything else you want to make sure you get out there?
No, I think we're good. I think they got to know you.
Okay. So they did get to know us. So we're gonna introduce a new segment here in a second. So you're gonna hear some music, and then we'll be talking right after that. It'll be glorious.
My dad and mom tell you what to do. Good luck with that.
All right, we will try to give some sage advice. So we put questions out there in the Facebook world, asking if anybody had any questions they want us to talk through. Some of you didn't respond. That's okay. We get it. I mean, it's gonna take some time, I think, for us to build that following up. But we actually did get one question and then a follow up to that question. Stephanie, maybe you want to at least clue them in on what it is that people were talking about. Specific. I mean, I don't have to read the specific question, but just the general gist of what the questions were.
Well, the question was more like a parenting question. For parents who have middle schoolers, it's kind of like that time in between, where you are keeping them in the house first, letting them be independent, and it's when is the right time to let your child date was the first question, right?
Okay. So again, I was going to ask you to do that, but I'll read it. That's
I thought you said don't read it.
Well, I mean, I thought you remembered it better than I because you actually were telling it to me. I didn't necessarily read it, but that's fine. I can get in there and read that for you. Don't you worry about that. The question is, what's a suitable age would you allow your daughter to date? This comes from my friend Justin Z. I don't know if I should use their last names or not, but Justin Z. Our daughters, his daughter and my daughter and your daughter, are about the same age, and he's just not ready for that knock on the door with the boy coming to pick up the girl there. And then Katie W. She actually kind of followed up on that and said that her daughter, who is the same age as ours, was invited by a boy to a party, and there'll be 6-8 kids there, and that this alleged boy apparently is somebody that she might have a crush on.
The daughter has a crush on.
Yes, thanks you clarify. Katie, I did not mean to insinuate by any stretch that there was a crush on your part. I'm just apologizing all over the place today. My humblest apologies to you, Katie. So the questions really are, as parents, we're in this middle school age, right? This 11, 12, 13-year-old situation, particularly those of us with daughters, which in this case, the three people who are talking through this are in that boat. What are we doing with the guys and the boys and all this happy stuff?
This is a tough question, especially because I know our daughter comes home and tells me so-and-so is dating so-and-so and, they've already had 3 boyfriends this year or 4 girlfriends. And my answer to her is always, how can you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend if you're in 6th grade? Like, where do you go? Where do you go on a date? And my answer to her is the earliest she will be able to have a date or a boyfriend is 9th grade. There's no reason to date in middle school. That could just lead to not good things. So I tell her, I'm like, don't even come home and ask. Don't even think about it. And it's tough, though, because so many of the other kids do not have that rule. And recently, last week, Addison came home from school and told us that a bunch of kids got caught with drugs or on drugs and selling drugs.
Allegedly, we should.
No, this part really.
We should be responsible. We don't know all the facts.
I'm not saying. This is actually what happened.
These are facts.
Yes.
Okay. You have these. I just want to make sure we're being factual because if somebody listens and thinks there's a giant drug deals going down, and
no, it was just like 6 kids. But the point was,
just quick little 6 kids. Okay.
Well, okay. I mean, that's not. I didn't say that right. It wasn't the whole school. Anyways, the point was, she told me that what happened was these kids were asking their parents if they could go to the park and hang out with their friends, and that was where the drug use was happening. Now, our daughter has never asked to go to the park without us, so it wasn't her, but one of the boys was basically asking girls, like, hey, do you want to go on a date to the park? And then at that park date, he would suggest drugs.
All right, can we pause here? Because perhaps you at home are as confused as I am. That took a dramatic left turn. And so...
you didn't let me finish.
Yeah, the drug use is certainly not something I think any of us want to tolerate in our children.
No, but my point was, so if you're saying like, hey, you can have a boyfriend and you guys can go to the park by yourself, like as a date, like it's just not going to lead to good things, I'm not saying it has to involve drugs, but I'm just saying this is why they're not ready for this type of thing. They're not. They don't have a clear enough head to make the right choices.
Yeah, okay, yeah. This went a direction I wasn't planning on. So again, as nicely as I can, let me try to redirect what my thoughts here. So I agree that dating that spawns drug use is not a good thing and should not happen.
Yes, of course.
At any age. However, I also don't know that I think that the vast majority of sixth grade boys are out there trying to get the girls hooked on the Molly or something, right?
No, I'm just saying there's no reason for them to be alone together.
Well, again, I think so. Let's break down dating for a moment. I can recall being in the 6th grade, and you had your little crushes on girls, and I remember people saying like, "Oh, they're boyfriend girlfriend," but they didn't actually ever like talk outside of school.
Or they might sit together at lunch.
I don't even think they did that. It was just more like, "Hey, that one's my girlfriend. Hey, that one's my boyfriend." Like I don't remember that like. That escalating. I'm sure it did here and there. Now, obviously, this was, a lot of years ago when that happened. So, certainly, if you're going to add the nefarious elements of drug use and some of those other things, I'm not a fan of it. But let's leave those out for right now and assume that's not happening. And I appreciate you taking us there, by the way, because that's again, very nicely. That was good. But I will. To the question being like, is our daughter allowed? Like, if I come home and she's text messaging with a boy, right? I come home and I'm like, "What are you doing, sweetie?" And she's like, "I'm talking to Ricardo." That one's going to be a tough one for me.
Yeah.
That one's going to be a tough one. That one's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Tough.
In 9th grade, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know that we can expect her to because the trick becomes if you tell them there's a hard, fast rule. And shout out to my sister for this one, because this is where I learned this from. You tell them they can't do something, they just do it in earnest, right? And so when my darling sister Danielle, if you made it this far, whenever if
you made it this far in the podcast,
actually I can't confirm either. Whenever she was told she couldn't do something, actually what somehow she autocorrected is you should do that 100,000%. And so I don't think you want the rebelling nature of being like, "Oh, you can't talk to a boy till 9th grade," because then they're just going to hide it and lie from you and all that stuff. And so I don't want that. But certainly I'm not. Yeah, if that door bell rings and I look outside and there's Ricardo or whatever, like we got problems. We got problems.
I agree.
We got problems. I'm not quite ready for that. But I mean, again, if she's like, "Hey, I sit next to Ricardo in class.
I have a crush on him."
I don't even want to hear that though.
I keep trying to ask her, like, does she think any boys are cute? And she says all the boys in 6th grade in her class are not cute.
Yeah. I mean, so would we be okay if she wanted to hang out with a boy?
Like with a group, like boys and girls?
Yeah, like boys and like we're going to like, again, I know, assuming that for a quick second, I know you think that like the park is like Skid Row here, but assuming that the park is a safe place, although you told me last week to pick up chicks at the park, so I don't really know. But assuming that the playground is a safe place and she's with some friends, are we okay with that? What age can she walk? And again, for those who aren't sitting in our living room right now, which is none of you, so I can understand this. The park is like a block away from our house. It's in the school actually, so all the little kids live around here, so it's not uncommon to see some of the school kids just kind of walking together, going to the park and kicking the soccer ball or going on the swings or whatever, right? So if she's like, "Hey, me, Mary Beth, Sue Ellen, Petey, and James are going to the park. Can I go?" What's your answer?
It's not going to be in 6th grade, maybe 7th or 8th grade, but there'd be a clear understanding that it better be a group of you and that I am going to drive by and check multiple times while you're there.
So if she comes in and says, "Hey, Mary Beth and Sue Ellen and I are going to go to the park and just kind of play around today," is that okay?
I would probably say yes, but that I would still check on her. Like I did let her go to the park last week but I knew that friend's parent was watching their son play baseball.
Despite all the rampant drug use and all the men picking up single women at the park, you allowed her to go to the park.
Yes, because there was adults there.
Apparently. And so, well, what do you do in this case? So you let her go to the park, And she gets there, and Mary Beth and Sue Ellen are there with her. And lo and behold, there's just 3 boys from their class who are there. And they're just like, oh, hey, it's the 3 guys. And they're like, hey, it's you 3. And then you go strolling by there in your GMC Terrain, and there is Addison and her 2 friends talking to 3 boys. What are we doing?
Yeah, I don't know. That's hard because I remember like 7th and 8th grade going to the movies, going to the mall with groups of boys and girls.
Mm-hmm.
I think the big thing would be it just needs to be a group, but definitely not in 6th grade. She's too young still.
She's too young. Okay.
And she's not dating till 9th grade.
But again, what would you prefer? Would you prefer her lying to you and saying, nope, I'm just going with my 2 girls here, and then knowing that the boys are going to be at the park? Or would you prefer her saying, like, I'm going to go with my 2 friends here, and then these 2 boys are going to the park too?
Well, I definitely would prefer her being honest, and I think she would be honest, but I would basically explain to her, like, you need to be honest because the one time that you're caught in a lie will be the last time that you're allowed to do something like this. And that I would check up on them. It'd probably embarrass her, but even if it's from far away.
Okay. So then would you reward her for telling you that, yes, the 2 boys are coming, but you still wouldn't let her go? So do you think that would incentivize her to be like, well, I'm just not going to tell Mom that these boys are going to be there?
No, I mean, there would definitely just have to be parameters set before she left. And It's not in 6th grade.
So the 6th grade's out of the question.
Yes.
So nothing's going on. Locking it down. Again, despite the rampant drug use, we're not going to have that in 6th grade. What's the grade that's happening at?
I'd like it to be 8th grade.
Okay. One of the questions that we had is, what if she's invited to a boy's birthday party?
That's a hard one. So I would have to get in touch with the parents and find out if the parents were going to be there. And if, I don't know, I think I would want to have an open communication with the parents and kind of find out more information. I think in this one, they were going to an escape room.
That's correct.
And then maybe there was a party afterwards, I think is what I understood. And I would think that the parents would be there for that, but I would definitely be checking to make sure that the parents were at this escape room.
Okay. So assuming parents are there.
Yes.
You are comfortable with her attending the party?
I think so, because that's a group thing and it's a birthday party.
Okay.
And so I think since it's like a planned event, like.
So it sounds like what you're saying is if you can have some modicum of control, big word.
Yes.
Okay. If you can have some measure of control, again, I know your vocabulary is by far, great. If you have some control, you're comfortable. But where there's things that you don't have any control over, that's where you'd prefer not to.
Correct.
So if she says, Mom, can I invite, Steven over to our house on Friday after school, and we're gonna play ping pong because we have a ping pong table. We're gonna play ping pong. Is that okay?
Not in 6th grade.
Not in 6th grade. Probably not till like junior year of high school. Even then, Steven's not coming over.
I want you to be like the bad boys.
I mean, I'm not violent, but Steven's not coming over.
Well, the scene where he scares the boy.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you think about what your parents allowed you to do at those ages, and now as the age that you are, what was on your mind or what wasn't on your mind back then, or what you were really doing and what you weren't doing. So it's interesting now that you're armed with that information to figure out what to do. Yeah,
it's definitely weird to be on the other side of.
Now we also have the fortune of having a little boy as well.
That's true.
And so he's going to be of age at some point where he may have some crushes on girls. We got different rules here? I'm thinking we do.
Well, he's still not dating till 9th grade.
I'm not, yeah, fair. I'm thinking we do though. I'm thinking we got some different rules for the little guy.
What other what's the difference?
I just feel like we got some different rules. That's all.
He just needs to know that he has to respect women at all times.
Sure.
And I still I'm not going to let him invite some girl over in 6th grade, just the 2 of them. Are you? And the door will always be open in our house if there is somebody of the opposite sex. We're not going in the bedroom and closing doors.
Trust me, I know that rule around here. It's not, again, so if he was like, hey, can I have, Jenny come over and play ping pong?
Well, at the age of 6, yes, that's fine with me. But when we get into middle school.
But so he's 12, and him and Jenny are playing ping pong in the garage. You're standing right there in front of them. What's the worst that could happen?
I guess that's true,
But Addison, no.
Well, we don't really have to worry about that with Aiden because I really don't think the girls are going to be banging on his door at 6th grade.
I don't understand.
He's just an odd fella.
I mean, maybe that's exactly what some people are looking for.
That's true. All the girls do love him in kindergarten and 1st grade.
Yeah, I mean, so we could have, but the different rules. There has to be different rules.
Maybe a little. You still can't have a girlfriend though, like go on dates until 9th grade.
Yeah, we ain't live in a house, so that's fair. Like, we're not leaving the house area.
Yeah.
Much at all.
Correct. Plus, in this town, there's nowhere to go on a date.
That's true.
There's literally no stores, no gas stations.
Well, because you can't trust the parks around here. Because again, you got just rampant singles like picking each other up at the park apparently, and then on one side you've got like a meth lab apparently. So you don't want to go to the parks. We actually live in a really nice place. I feel bad that
we do.
You've now insinuated that basically our park is a mixture of like Breaking Bad meets Tinder, which isn't really what happens around here. But
not at all.
But there's that too. Okay, so that was a great question. I don't know if we helped anybody out there. I'm with my guy Justin. He was basically like, "Hey, look, that it didn't happen on my watch." I agree wholeheartedly. I'm not ready for that. That doorbell better not be ringing anytime soon. So how do you suspect though that I might act when that actually happens? So obviously you talked about the bad boy scene. That was a little bit dramatic, I think, for movie purposes only. How do you suspect I might act when I'm in the living room, I'm watching, March Madness tournament, and the doorbell rings, and you're like, "I'll get it," and then I hear some voices. I turn around, there's Addison standing next to Tommy.
I think that you will make sure to make yourself known, and that you are watching.
Okay. How do you think I might do that?
You just have a way about you where you can put a face on that he would know that you mean business.
Business, okay. So I'm gonna put the business face on.
Correct.
Okay. Do you think I'll be quiet? Do you think I'll be? We should actually ask Addison this question. Which of us do you think she'd be more embarrassed by?
Me.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Because she says I just embarrass her in general. Like, we pull up to school and she literally has to turn off the music in the car to get out of the car. And I'm listening to like Post Malone and she still thinks that's embarrassing.
Yeah. You're a little much. Yeah. I can, when she had her friend here that one day, I don't want to say her friend's name because I don't want to embarrass them. But when she had her friend here that one day, she said you were like super embarrassing because you kept like checking on them. Do you need anything? I have cookies. Do you want something?
I did not do that.
That's what she said.
"What do you want for dinner?" And I texted to her. I didn't even go up into her room.
That's what she told me. I don't know.
I think she was being a little dramatic, but I get it. She thinks I embarrass her. Although I think she has a pretty cool mom compared to some people's.
Yeah. So you think she has a cool mom compared to others?
Correct.
Okay. Well, hold on.
My dad says something nice about my mom. You should sit down for this.
Yeah, Stephanie, you are by far a wonderful and very cool, very hip mother. Addison's lucky to have you.
That was my dad saying something nice about my mom. My life will never be the same.
3 of those in one episode. Wow.
You never know. I mean, again, new day, new day, turning the new leaf over here. The kindler, gentler Up and Adam podcast.
This show is almost over. Great. Now I have to talk to my parents.
All right, Stephanie, episode 3 in the books.
I think it went well.
I think it did go well. A lot of conversation. You did wonderful, by the way. This was fantastic. You were, as always, just a wonderful. I forgot to put a sounder. Just a talented co-host as always, and this was fun.
Yeah, I'm getting used to all these compliments.
I'll get used to it because more coming. All right, I like this new kindler, gentler, not mean Up and Adam show. It's really feels good. Hey, thanks to everyone who listens in again. We love you guys. We appreciate you for doing it. You don't have to. I'm sure you have other things to do in your life, and that you tolerate our tomfoolery around here is really nice. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
If they want to follow us, Stephanie, do you know how they can follow us or find us or learn more about us?
I know we're on Instagram and Facebook, but I don't know handles.
Yeah, Up and Adam podcast is typically the handle. I mean, it's traditional to use the handle of the show to name in case anyone wants to know. You should actually go and like our Facebook page, because some of you who I want to tag and stuff, I can't tag because you don't like our Facebook page. And I don't want to be that guy who's like begging people to like their Facebook pages, because those people annoy me. But if so, I'll just do it here instead. If you can, actually, maybe Stephanie, you can do that. Can you get people to like our page?
So I have to annoy the people?
Well, again, not that, because you're certainly very, very warm and friendly. And so I think people will react nicely when you ask them to like our page.
Okay, sounds good.
So they should like our page, download our show, ask us questions. We're here. We're here to make everybody happy.
Sounds good.
And Stephanie, I'll let you. Do you have have you been working on like a sign off, like something you're going to say at the end of every show?
Oh, no. I think I should do that though.
You want to work on it right now? I mean, some people have like catchphrases like, Seacrest out. I mean, that's not you though. I mean, I don't want you taking that one. But do you have anything you want to say, at the end of every show?
I do not have any ideas. Do you have any ideas for me?
I don't currently. I don't have any ideas for you.
Do you have one for you?
Not really. I just kind of say goodbye, or we'll talk to you later, or next week, same time next week, maybe something like that.
All right, I'll think about it for next week.
All right, so tune in next week. Potential Teach the Teacher Part 2 update. Part 3 update. I forgot. Sorry. You'll potentially learn if Stephanie has then come up with a phrase. And I'm also curious if I've been nicer this show. Do I need to be more nice? At the right level of nice?
Well, you're going to have to ask the viewers that, not me.
See, this is tough, because now what do I do? Because it's clearly listeners. They're not watching this. But if I say that, all of a sudden I mean. So
listeners,
just pretend whatever. I didn't say that. And for those of you who listened or viewed, do it often. Tell your friends too, by the way. Downloads have been pretty strong.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Great. All right. Well, hey, listen, we'll chat with you all next week. Goodbye.